Up next, we have BetterView.
Let's see. Hi there. My name's David Lyman. I'm the co-founder and CEO of BetterView. We're the leading platform for using drones to inspect buildings and properties. So since we started over 2.5 years ago, we've inspected over 2,300 properties and analyzed over 6,000 rooftops. So here's an example where clearly the drone is the best tool for the job versus putting a cherry picker up there or trying to get somebody to walk on that roof. But generally speaking, we find that drones are a much cheaper and safer alternative than getting people up on roofs and for a lot of other collection data around buildings and properties. So let me show you how a typical workflow of how this works. So somebody will come in and they'll provide an address and they'll provide some contact info and what type of job it is. One of the first things we do is look at the airspace, right? So determine, is it legal for us to fly? Are there any restrictions? Very important. We also want to make sure it's not wet or windy, right? That can be really dangerous, unsafe. So you can see there's some red there, there's some green there, so we want to avoid the days that are red. So when a pilot shows up on site, he's ready to go. He goes through and runs through some pre-flight checklists for safety, but also determines, what photos, what data needs to be captured for the job. Sends the drone up. Some of it's autonomous, some of it's manual. Drone flies over the rooftop and is just taking photos continuously, right? So lands the drone, and we pull all the imagery off of the drone through our mobile app, directly connected to it, and that gets pushed up to our cloud, right? So it goes out to BetterView storage system, and then we do some really interesting things with it. This is where things, where the real value I think gets added, right? Which is we generate things like a 3D model. You can see this 3D model here. Our customers love this because it lets them see, this is an example of a church, and a lot of times we have multiple buildings on a property, so you can kind of see the layout of how everything's set up and do measurements as well. A digital surface map is really helpful to determine for like flood risk, to understand how the property is laid out so you can see where water is going to flow. Mosaic Map is another output. This is like Google Maps, but it's from the drone imagery, so it's really high resolution. That's really neat. With that, once again, you can see lots of buildings on the property, but you can also draw measurements, distance between buildings and surface area of different surfaces. That's the helpful information, but we also care a lot about the individual photos we took, which is usually hundreds, if not thousands. So we are applying some AI, and we also have some manual process to that. So here's an example of what the AI does. It looks at rust, and then we have human experts who can also go in and look at the photos and tag up different issues that they find. The combination of all of that then leads to a PDF report output. Not all that sexy, but it's compatible with all of our customers' existing workflows and document management systems. It kind of tells them, summarizes everything that's there, all the problems, and it shows recommendations of what needs to be done to resolve those problems. And all of that, that combined with the measurements allow an estimate for repair or replacement to be done, right? So that's kind of the core of the product. Like I said, we have a lot of experience doing this on behalf of our customers, both as a software and professional services company. It's been used in a variety of different ways. And this really comes out of my co-founder and I have extensive roots both in enterprise software and also in commercial building inspections. What we see this going over time is that drones are such an effective way to capture information around buildings and properties that anyone who has to do that as part of their daily job is going to be equipped with a drone. And we also intend with BetterView software to manage all of that data and drive insight off of it. So, if you think that there's something to what I'm saying, that this is really the future of where things are going, I'd love to talk to you. We're always, interested in adding sharp people to our team who can help us out and plot that path to the future. Thank you.
All right, big round of applause, and let's hear it from our judges.
What's the BOM cost on the drone, and where are you manufacturing them?
We don't manufacture the drones. We're all DJI based. So they have about 80% of the commercial market. So we're taking advantage of all the great things they're doing around the drones themselves.
Can you just talk a bit about what's your gross margin on the 140K, and then what's the ROI to a customer?
Yeah, our gross margins are over 50% on the services business. The software side of it is really just now ramping up. We're seeing that there are significant buyers. Budget has been allocated in 2017. So we're selling to that. It's still a very new market, though. And you were asking about ROI, right? So that's one of those things where customers are trying to figure it out. But ultimately, the proof point to us is that we've had customers that have been working with us for over a year now coming back and buying more and more and more. So they're getting ROI out of it. Everyone's always trying to measure it. It's a tough thing to put a finger on right now.
Who within these companies make decision to buy?
Yeah, so great question. So we've really started out, our biggest market has been mid-size insurance carriers, doing 100 million to $1 billion a year in premium. Good-sized companies, but in the insurance space, that's mid-size. We've been selling directly to head of underwriting, head of claims, head of loss control in those companies. And then when we get to the bigger ones, when we start talking about top 20, 30 carriers, they all have innovation teams, and that's usually who we're working with in those companies first.
All right, big round of applause for BetterView.